Have you ever wondered why some leaders, some organizations, just seem to thrive in total chaos, while others completely fall apart? Well, the answer, a lot of the time, comes down to this really powerful idea for dealing with uncertainty, and it's called adaptive leadership.
So to really get it, first we got to understand the problem we're all facing. You could almost call it a modern leadership crisis, a situation where the old rules just don't seem to work anymore.
So why is that? I mean, really, why do all those classic, time-tested leadership strategies, the ones you might have even learned in business school, why do they seem to just crumble when they're up against the challenges we face today?
It's because the world we're operating in now is just a constant storm of disruption and uncertainty. You know? Whether it's brand new tech, markets that shift overnight, or huge global events, change is pretty much the only thing you can count on. So that traditional top-down approach, where the leader's supposed to have all the answers, it just can't keep up. It's way too slow, it's too rigid, and honestly, it completely fails to tap into the brainpower of the whole team.
This new reality we're in, it absolutely demands a new way of leading. It's not just a small tweak, it's a fundamental shift in how we even think about what a leader's role is and how we solve problems in the first place.
And that new way, well, that's adaptive leadership. When you boil it down, it's all about guiding people through the kinds of challenges that don't have a simple, neat answer. It's way less about being the expert with a clear-cut solution and a lot more about creating an environment where the team can actually learn, experiment, and figure out the solution together.
Okay, so this slide right here, this is the absolute core of the whole idea. You've got to understand this distinction. On one hand, you have technical challenges. Think of it like your car breaks down, right? You call a mechanic, an expert, they use what they already know, and poof, it's fixed. Simple. But then you have adaptive challenges, and these are a whole different beast. This is when, say, your entire business model is starting to look ancient, or your company's culture is just toxic. There's no manual for that. You can't just call an expert to fix it. The problem itself is fuzzy, and the only way out is for people, everyone, to actually change how they think and act.
So, the big question is, how do you actually lead people through those messy, confusing, adaptive challenges? Well, this framework gives us 5 core practices to use as our roadmap.
Yep, just 5. Let's take a quick look at what's in the toolkit for any adaptive leader.
So here they are, these 5 practices. They all work together, kind of like a cycle. It kicks off with getting some perspective, then figuring out what the real issue is, managing the stress that always comes with change, keeping everyone focused on what truly matters, and then, and this is a big one, empowering your team to actually do the work. Let's zoom in on a couple of these.
Let's start with my favorite one, mostly because the metaphor is just so perfect. Get on the balcony. It's the first and, you could argue, the most important practice of them all.
And this image just nails the concept. Think about it. If you're on the dance floor, you're in the middle of it all, right? All you can see are the people right next to you. You're caught up in the music, the motion, the frenzy. But the second you step up onto the balcony, everything changes. You can see the entire picture. You start to see the patterns. You see who's dancing with who. You get the larger dynamics of what's really happening. As a leader, you have to make time to get off that dance floor and get up on the balcony. And let's talk about another one of these practices, because this one, wow, this is a tough one for a lot of traditional leaders. It's called giving the work back to the people. And this is really where the rubber meets the road. It's a total shift in thinking. The job of an adaptive leader isn't to swoop in like a superhero with all the answers. Nope. Your job is to be a facilitator, to create the space where your team, they can figure it out for themselves. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, doesn't it? But let's look at a couple of huge, high-stakes examples where this adaptive approach literally made all the difference. First up, Ford, back in 2006. I mean, the company was just bleeding money. They were on the verge of complete and total collapse. This wasn't some simple technical problem you could fix with a new spreadsheet. This was a deep, systemic, truly adaptive challenge. So what did the CEO, Alan Mulally, do? He put adaptive leadership into practice. He got on the balcony and saw that the internal fighting and all the silos were literally killing the company. He identified the real adaptive challenge. It wasn't just bad cars, it was a toxic culture. Then he gave the work back to his teams, getting them all pulling in the same direction under this new, collaborative, One Ford vision.
And the result? I mean, it was nothing short of a miracle. Ford pulled off one of the most incredible turnarounds in corporate history. And get this, it was the only major American car company to avoid a government bailout during the financial crisis.
Okay, let's look at another giant.
Fast forward to 2014, and Microsoft had kind of lost its magic. It was seen as stagnant, its internal culture was notoriously cutthroat and competitive, and that was just strangling any new ideas. This was a classic cultural adaptive challenge.
So when Satya Nadella took the helm, his big adaptive move wasn't just about launching new products. It was about creating a whole new culture. He introduced this idea of a growth mindset, which is all about learning, experimenting, and not being afraid to fail. He basically gave his people permission to take risks in the name of innovation, which is a huge part of giving the work back to them.
And the result? A complete and total corporate reinvention. Microsoft became this absolute powerhouse in cloud computing. Its value just skyrocketed, and it proved that sometimes the most powerful adaptive move a leader can make is to change a company's mind.
So we've seen how this stuff works for these massive corporations, but how does it apply to you? Let's bring this home.
This quote really gets right to the heart of it. This isn't about being the boss, about having authority. It's about seeing leadership as a service. You are there to serve the people you lead by helping them face tough challenges and build up their own ability to solve problems.
So, let's wrap this up. What are the big things to remember? First, you have to know what kind of problem you're actually dealing with. Is it technical or is it adaptive? Second, you've always got to find time to get on that balcony. Third, fight that urge to just hand over the answer. Instead, empower your team to find it. And finally, always remember that real leadership is about serving others so that they can succeed.
And that brings us right here to the last and honestly the most important question. Forget about Ford and Microsoft for a second. Think about your work, your team, maybe even your own life. What's that complex, messy challenge that just has no easy answer? What is the adaptive challenge that's waiting for you?